So I'm gonna tell the story that happened. I was when Conflict started traveling and we were doing all that. Me and Zaya were openers
at Mansion,
Mokai, a few venues. Like we were the in-house. We were
the Privé group,
Opium. It was
Opium group. I'm sorry.
We were like the residents, and we would get random if the fucking world split, we randomly headline a spot.
So typically, if the headliner and the main guy is traveling and out of town, the openers who are the residents, they feel like they're next.
Yeah,
they're kind of next to be put in a headliner.
Yeah, and it was
space,
and
right?
it was like the way that it was shifting because everybody kind of scooted up. Like, all right, well, Conflict's traveling more, and then more open.
And before Conflict, there was like Mr. Mauricio, Ross One. So like, it was, so like it seemed like normal. Like, oh, Irie, Mr. Mauricio,
progression.
Yeah,
and then it was Ross One, and then it was Conflict.
Wasn't Ruckus out there also at one point?
Yeah, but he wasn't like a resident. I think he was like
who?
Ruckus.
Yeah, Ruckus. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so those guys shifted, and then the Conflict, Joe Ma's generation, Ruin, those guys started to. So we're kind of like, all right, well,
we're next.
And I was a resident at Mokai on Fridays, and that spot was heavy promoter. So they would have, y'all remember, I don't know if it even still happens, like the promoter homie DJ that would come in and like, I was the guy tapping them. I was the guy like, hey, play a little bit more. Like I'm the one getting my phone blown up and all the shit that the
managers being like,
like, yo, what the fuck is that playing?
The energy is off, right?
So one of the nights they booked this guy and he gets on, he's all right, but like 15 minutes in, they're like, no, like, yo, get back on. And this time there wasn't a main DJ. Like they had booked this guy to do the whole 2 hours.
Right.
15 minutes in, they're like, no. So in my head, I'm like, yo, like this is it. Like I'm fucking whipping it out. Pause. Like I'm fucking shining. Like this is my chance. This is it. I start rocking. I'm doing my shit. 10 minutes later, this other DJ shows up. And this DJ was actually banned from DJing at this venue. He was part of that group, but he was banned. And I'm like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, I'm there, the shit that I practiced for all my, and I'm like, no, well, I just got hit up to come and play. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, they told me this guy sucks. So in my head, I was like, yo, this venue, like I literally thought that I had this connection. I thought that I was going. I thought that this was going on.
But you thought that they even saw you to have the capabilities to hold down the headlining set
for the next hour and a half.
Yeah. But no, they didn't. They didn't give a fuck. They like to them, it's
they reached out to someone. They reached out to
someone else that was banned to come and rock instead of their opener that to them was nothing.
Right.
And after that, like I had a real big chip on my shoulder for the longest, and I was like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like I've been grinding for so long, and this and that, and how is this venue this? And I'm a better DJ than this, and like, so it really put me in a kind of like ex-girlfriend mentality, like, oh fuck.
Well, you were loyal as fuck, right?
Yeah.
You sacrificed a lot for them.
Everything. And it was just,
and you just didn't get the mutual respect or courtesy or anything, right?
And I was already, the thing is that I was already moving in Wynwood. I was already doing everything else. So it just kind of became, but then I realized what most of us realized at some point, that like, yo, you're just the hamster on the wheel. Like, nobody cares. Like you're there to do a job. You're there to fill in whatever they need. And Conflict would preach that to us, and just remember you're there to do a job. Like, but I wouldn't think of it. Like our egos or our own self-glorifying going. I mentioned how DJs just self-glorify. Like, it got to me like it gets to a lot of people. And you gotta humble yourself down and realize, yo, like that's just not for me. And it's it's still not. I still go to these places. I still go and show love, but I realize that, yo, there's so many other lanes, and that's one thing that I preach to the younger guys. Like, it's not about DJing at the spot. Like I know a lot of guys that do weddings and promo shit that they make 2-3 times what I make in a night.
Yeah.
And they always give you, y'all probably dealt with it. Man, like you're killing it in the club, bro. I wish I'm like, bro, you're fucking making 5 racks a night. Yeah, like, you feel me? Like you're good. And they always kind of feel that need to tell you. Just like when you ask a DJ, where you DJing at? They're always going to tell you the one big club they did at one time first. Like, oh yeah, Omnia, and then they name everything else. It's always that kind of like, but
it's like a status.
Right. But
I think what's interesting is that I think there was a time when people got put on.
Yeah.
And it was like the next guy got put on, the next guy put on.
Yeah.
And then I feel like your generation, right? A lot of y'all motherfuckers had to make your own bones.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't get put on. And it wasn't that maybe our generation wasn't able to put y'all on. You know, like I felt like I really never got put on, but like, you know, like dudes like never looked out for me. I wouldn't be in Vegas if it wasn't for guys like Never. So he looked out for me. I've always looked out for other dudes. But I think we always had to kind of pave our way and like pay our dues and build a shit. And sometimes I feel like when you're starting to DJ, you think this is the moment where I make it, but in actuality, it's kind of like, nah, you still got some more dues to pay. Like you still got, there's still more to learn because if you were to even make it then, if you make it for 1 to 2 years and you pop in and it goes back down, you wouldn't even know how to build it back up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No,
it's almost like it will come too easy and you'll lose it too easy. Yeah. So like life is kind of telling you, you got to work a little bit harder and don't worry, it's going to suck, but it's going to make you sustain your success a lot longer in the long run.
Right.
You know?
I agree 1,000% because like, you know, even if I would have rocked that night, I know that the impression that I would have made on the management wouldn't have kept me in.
Right.
You feel me? Like,
because there's other elements that come into play.
And now, and I think now there's so many more elements, so we can't even put people on. You know, how hard is it to get, you know, like if you get booked for something and then maybe you can't do it and you want to, no, they want you. And like, there's so many moving parts and it's, you know, you have to understand that this DJ world is like never ending. Like you said, you're always gonna, you know, like keep moving or the time will come when you don't even think of it, you know?
If you want to check the full episode of this clip, click the video on the left. Or if you'd like to continue watching more R.O.A.D clips, click the video on the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new clips and videos from R.O.A.D Podcast throughout the week. Peace.